Hello and welcome to Newspaper Headlines Review on Agate Television and Radio. It is a combined broadcast. My name is Fanan Kwano and I'm with Shido Taka. Shido, good morning.
Good morning, Fana. It's good to be back again on Newspaper Headlines Review.
So many things to talk about today.
Yes, actually, a lot of things.
All right, let's introduce our guest. He's a seasoned journalist, always here with us. Good morning, Sateve Akase.
Good morning, Fana. It's good to be here again. Shido, good morning.
Good morning.
All right, so we'll not waste time at all. We want to head straight to where the happenings are today. Well, I would like to start with the Punch newspaper. And the Punch newspaper comes with so many interesting headlines today. We're starting with the banner headline, Impeachment Move, Tension in Rivers as Assembly serves Fubara Misconduct Notice. With the rider, Titan Security, lawmakers list 19 infractions against Governor Amechi, against the governor as Amechi camp kicks. That story was so much on my mind that I even forgot to tell the viewers and listeners that they can join us on our social media handles.
It's everywhere in the
If you're
papers.
listening to us
Yes.
and you just feel like doing stuff online, you could just go to Facebook at Agate Radio TV and then yes, and then you would get us there live. Also on YouTube, we are streaming live on Agate Television. And then you can also listen to us on www.agateradiotv.com. Or better still, you could get us headline. And then next is Copper who criticized Tinubu under pressure to apologize. And this is coming from activists. 4 feared killed in Ogun court clashes. Lagos PDP attacks Jando over returns to APC. Niger fuel crisis, customs marketers differ as 400 border filling stations shut. Wike revokes 794 FCT land titles over 6.9 billion naira ground rent. SGF distances self from 10 billion naira fraud probe. And also we have Anti-Corruption Coalition, APC, others attack El-Rufai Atiku as plot thickens. So, we're starting with the banner headline, as usual. Tension in Rivers as Assembly serves Fubara misconduct notice. And then so many papers are, saying different things. The Guardian says, eyes on Rivers, CJ as impeachment plot thickens against Fubara. The Tribune says, Rivers Assembly lists 19 sins of Fubara. Lawmakers were reinstated. People raised the concerns that Governor Fubara would eventually be, being impeached. So, David Akase, now we are heading towards that end that the governor was so much afraid of. So,
Well, yeah, the what I can say about this scenario in Rivers State is it is a test of Nigeria's democracy. This is one of the times that the country's democracy is going to be tested. And already the Supreme Court has spoken, and other institutions that are involved in the process, whether the Rivers State House of Assembly members are right, whether Governor Fubara is right, all of these are going to play out. Already the Assembly has issued that for the 19-point list of the sins of Governor Fubara. And, the procedure of impeaching a state governor is so lengthy, so cumbersome, if you will. And but of course, that's the first step, is to issue notification. From what we have seen, is to issue the notification which the Assembly has done. And after that, the governor is served the notification, and the Constitution says he has a right to reply or not. And if he replies, then the Assembly members will be issued copies each. And, after 14 days, the presentation of the notice to the Speaker of the House will be done, which the House will resolve. And then from there, If the motion fails, it will test, and so it's a lengthy process. But a governor has been impeached in Nigeria before. It may not have happened yet under this democracy, but it happened, since Nigeria came back to civil rule. So it may not be the first time that a governor will be impeached, if at all the impeachment process against Governor Fubara goes through. Well, we'll wait to see how this happens. Yesterday, the Rivers State government, through the Commissioner for Information, came out to say that they are yet to receive any letter of notification containing the sins of their principal, the governor. So it's like a hide and seek game that is playing out. But they are
bordered on the budget, the 2024 budget, and they had written to, they had notified the governor to represent or if you like, present the budget again to the legitimate House of Assembly. And then the governor also was said to have written to them, but
they said they didn't get the notice.
We are getting to understand that they had sent the notice through WhatsApp.
That's what we got to know. And now the government that is playing out,
Maybe they should also forward it on WhatsApp. But then I'm trying to look at it. Okay, we don't want to preempt matters, but the way it's going out from we the observers are the ones that make the whole game funny, to look at.
Yes.
What would be, I don't want to use the word prediction, but what do you think is going to be the likely outcome of this whole scenario?
Well, you see, three arms of government are involved in democracy. We have the executive, we have the legislature, and the judiciary. And the impeachment process has been structured around the three arms so that one arm does not hold the others to ransom. That is why the chief judge of a state is also very critical in the procedure of impeachment of a sitting governor. And that's why we understand the chief judge of Rivers State is on vacation, so to speak. And some people are saying that the acting chief judge does not have the constitutional power to sign the impeachment, whatever that when it is done. That if at all it is concluded, the argument on one school of thought is saying that an acting chief judge rather doesn't have the power to sign the impeachment of a governor. Now, whether the assembly succeeds in doing this, the next stage will be for the chief judge of Rivers State to approve, to sign. And when that happens, that is when it becomes legitimate.
And by the way,
but you know that the chief judge of Rivers State is on the side of Governor Fubara, and so
the assembly is even faulting his appointment, I think.
Yes, it's one of those issues. So it's really it's intriguing. I mean, it's a tricky.
The word is cumbersome.
Yes. So, but the truth is that those assembly members who are on the other side are largely in the majority. They are 27. So if they follow that procedure, I think you can as well say that Governor Fubara is gone. But the only stumbling block in their way is, as I have said, the chief judge of the state will have to also have a hand in it. And until that is done, although I think there is a provision that if and override his decision out. And remember that the Rivers State deputy in it.
Yes, I was thinking maybe the deputy would have.
No, from what we have seen, they want to impeach the governor and his deputy. You know, the deputy is of the upland, is the Quere side. Rivers State is divided into two major segments. If you say three, it's okay, but the Ijaws and the Queres are the majority in Rivers State. So if you pick one riverine person as a governor, then you certainly have to pick an upland person on the Igbo side as a deputy. So to avoid the insinuations that, Governor former Governor Wike and his allies want to remove an Ijaw person. Governor Fubara is from the riverine side, the Ijaw side. So to avoid that kind of insinuation, the assembly are saying this governor has committed these offenses in conspiracy, in collaboration with his deputy. So the deputy will also have to go. Which means if they succeed in impeaching Governor Fubara and his deputy, then perhaps someone from the riverine will again be elected as the governor of Rivers State. I think that's what I'm suspecting. I have no privileged knowledge about this, but I'm just looking at it. Since they have joined the deputy in that notice of impeachment, it means if they succeed, then the deputy will go as well. And the speaker will act for some time, after which the mandatory period of preparing for the next election will be done, and someone perhaps from the riverine area will still be elected as the governor of Rivers State.
Fane, I know that whatever happens in Rivers State,
in which case,
yes,
there will be no more tensions. If that is what the other side is saying, then there will be no tension, because some people have been playing out sentiments that the Ikwere people, where Wike comes from, and the others, Amahule and the others come from, are trying to remove an Ijaw person in order to make an Ikwere person the governor. So that's why I needed to say
clarify on that. But whatever happens there, I know a lot of political watchers are interested in what is happening in Rivers State, because this will actually tell us what democracy feels like in Nigeria at the moment.
Exactly. Yes. That's why I said democracy will be tested.
In
our institutions, our democratic institutions, will be put to test.
One of the papers, quotes the governor as saying that he's been distracted by what is going on. And then, of course, I'm looking at it from that angle, that of all of this, what does this common man stand to gain? Does he stand to benefit the dividends of democracy as he should? Aren't these
that is why you have to trace the origin of all of this. And some of us will be seen like taking sides with former Governor Wike, but that is not the case here. The case here is that the current governor got it wrong from day one. Someone put his structures, built those structures for years. Many people left the PDP. The likes of Amechi left. Wike remained in the PDP, was building the party, won elections after elections, and now brought in this guy and made him governor on the structures of the PDP. And you became governor, and the first thing you wanted to do was to take the structures from the man who built the structures and brought this party to be where it is. I don't think that is correct. We have to be sincere, and no human being will be happy. Wike has explained many times that if Governor Fubara had not gone for his structures, then he wouldn't have any problem. He was governor for 8 years. So for goodness sake, what does he lack? He doesn't lack anything. But he went for his structures. For a politician, what matters is his structures. And the same thing is playing out in other states. In Benue State, for instance. Someone builds his structures, yes, and brings you were not even a party man. Fubara was not a party man. Even if he was a professional. He was the accountant of the government. Now you became the governor. You were not known anywhere in the PDP. And then suddenly you want to become the leader of the party. You want to decide everything. And you have gone to take the structures from this man. So it means you want him to retire. You want him to leave politics for you entirely. It's never done anywhere.
But funny, while he was talking, I was just thinking, for, like you said, for the common man, for the person who is waiting to experience the dividends of democracy. These political intrigues seem a little absurd, because when someone becomes a governor, you are expecting for the common man that he concentrates on governance and not politics.
Absolutely. That's what should be. And that's why some of us would like to advise new governors You know, I had the experience of working with a governor who, even though had at a point there were some issues with the leadership of the country at that time, it wasn't an issue with him and the leadership of the party in the state. But what he did was he left the party. He didn't fight for structures of the party. Governor Otom did not fight for the structures of the party with the leader of the party. He said he had disagreed with the posture of President Buhari at that time, whose body language was in support of the atrocities committed by the headsmen. And Governor Otom said, see, I was not elected to rule, to govern over dead people. And my people are being killed. I have complained to you, Mr. President. But you do not seem to understand what is happening in Benue State. So Governor Otom felt that the APC was not the party for him. And he left. He didn't fight for structures with the leader of the party, Senator George Akuma, who was minister. He was minister at that time. He did not. What he did was he left. So I expect that a man spent his resources to build his political party and brought you to be the governor on that platform. If you do not agree with him on whatever, you
why is this here appearing like a personal venture? He built his party.
But that's what it is. Listen, in my small way of contributing to our party, in my small area, I know how much I spend. It's not easy. So you imagine someone is building the political structure of structures of a party in the whole state.
Okay.
I'm looking at a few council wards, but I know it's not been easy. Now someone is looking at the whole structures of the party in the state, spending millions, mobilizing people to go for meetings, demobilizing them, and so many other things, sponsoring people to do things, a lot of things to help the party. And it brings you to contest election on the platform of that party. And then you become the governor and suddenly you declare yourself as a leader of the party. You do not want that leader to have a say in what happens. That is where the governors are getting it wrongly. And I expect that, yes, you have made a valid point that the people will suffer. Yes, but that is the beauty of democracy.
The people suffering?
No. The beauty of democracy is when there is people, it's a struggle.
Okay.
Democracy is the struggle for the control of resources to provide leadership, and that in the interest of the people.
Exactly.
So if Fubara goes today and another governor comes, I expect him to learn from the lesson of Fubara. That's what it is, so that you do not fight your godfather. If your godfather is not comfortable with you, you either leave him with his party or you seek an alternative.
We have to touch on this issue of godfatherism next time, actually.
So,
it's an interesting topic.
The godfathers you have pity on us, the masses.
Exactly.
And then the structure takers.
Yes.
Because whosoever that is taking the structures today would also want to build structures tomorrow. But it's a few fearful for me, but all the same, God will help us, as we have always hoped. Another burning issue we have across the papers is Copper, who criticized Tinubu under pressure, describes him as, what's the word again? Terrible. He says, she says it's terrible. You know, why are you shying away from that word? All right. So they are saying that she is under pressure to apologize, according to activists. So this has come up. The argument here is that whether she was right or wrong. Some people were on the fact that she said either what she said was either true or false. But then some are saying, oh, it may be true, but the circumstances in which she is, the kind of citizen she is now, she shouldn't be the one criticizing the government based on the rules of and with the bylaws of NYSC, which says that core members should not address the press or address the media. And then the Constitution on the other side provides for freedom of speech as a fundamental human right. And my little knowledge of law, as I did government and civic education. So it says that no law shall beat the Constitution. It shall, support the Constitution, but it shall not override the Constitution. So putting this side by side, there's a little bit of confusion. But let's hear from you, Chief Akaso. What do you make? What's your opinion about this issue?
Well, number one, I disagree with Corporal Rita. I think that's her name, Rita.
Yes.
I do not support her description of Mr. President as terrible. But I think she was really overwhelmed. If you watched her videos, the two videos, the first one and the follow-up video, she even cried many times in that video. The frustration is real. You cannot argue about that Nigerians are going through a lot. That is undeniable. So and for a core member, I have been advocating that the federal government should move the monthly allowance of core members to 70,000, like workers on level. I mean, the least worker is receiving the minimum wage. So, because the coppers are also in the market, they are going to the markets, and that's the frustration. And you know, a big city like Lagos, cities like Abuja, things are even more expensive. Like she said, you take Uber from one place to another, they charge you a lot of money. So it's that we have to give it to her. She went emotional, and in that emotional outburst, she lost it in one way. For me, describing Mr. President as terrible, that is unacceptable. I agree. That is not correct. A citizen, a patriotic citizen, should have made. She began really well by lamenting,
About this.
by saying that, look, things are bad. The government should do something. That should have been the message. Stand on that message. Make your point very strongly and appeal to Mr. President. This girl can be a grandchild of Mr. President. And so, but I think she just lost some of herself, and in the course of that, she used words that she shouldn't have used. If she's going to apologize, I will support her apology. To apologize to Mr. President, as she said, she should not be crucified for some of what she said, because we are all facing it. Even those in government are facing it, and they can't deny it. So I do not agree with her using those words on Mr. President. But the federal government, what I expected the presidential spokespeople to have done, or even Mr. President himself, because I'm sure this must have come to his attention by now. Speak to this daughter of yours and correct her. See, some of these things are very simple to be done. If this girl has gone viral, and before you know it, the international community will pick this story up.
Amnesty International has already responded.
Yes, so I expected the presidential spokespeople to address Corporal Rita and tell her, your father, the president of this country, is doing something about your frustration. And it's not only you, many people are going through this, but the federal government is aware, and a lot is being done. And tell her what is being done. That the petrol prices are already beginning to come down, as our people say, small. Now, those are efforts that are being made. But I read somewhere that someone said the NYC should expel the girl, and I said that's wrong. You do not expel a citizen who is expressing her frustration. If she is wrong in what she has said, correct her.
Right.
You can rebuke her and tell her, look, you got it wrong by saying this which you said. But this is the effort the government is making.
I think in one of the videos,
yes,
correction was being offered, I think, by the LGR or something. And then she also posted it out and was trying to...
She said the NYC officials, a senior NYC official called her and was threatening her.
Not so
and she in that her second video, she said she was being threatened, and they even know her house address, and if anything happens to her, Nigerians should know that this is the situation with her. So you see, if they are not careful, they will help that girl to even get an international recognition. And someone may offer to take her out of Nigeria. So by now, the government should have addressed her and say, the government of Lagos, she indicted the government of Lagos too, that Lagos stinks. And up till now, I have not heard anything from that. So I think our people should not lose it by any time a leader is criticized. We shouldn't go after the critics by insulting them. Explain to them the efforts your government is making. And by doing that, you will win more sympathizers to the side of government.
All right, so the lawyers online, there are many lawyers on Facebook. Well, we hope that the situation will be addressed appropriately. It is on this note that we take a short break, and when we're back, we'll look at other papers. It's Agate Television and Radio.
Keep watching Agate Television.
Keep watching Agate Televisions.
Big shout out to Agate Television, Sky's your limit.
Keep watching Agate Television.
Keep watching Agate Television, one of the best in the whole city of Makurdi. Peace.
Hello, my people. Keep watching Agate Television. Watch out for more.
Agate Television, we love you.
Special shout out to Agate Television.
Agate Television, you're the best. Shout out, peace.
Shout out to Agate Television. I love you. You're the best.
Best channel, all the fun, the live shows, the best of the best you can get.
Agate TV, one of the best rising televisions in North Central Nigeria, which everybody should actually look out for.
On our social media handles on Agate Television. My name is Fanan Kwana. With me it's Shido Taka, and also analyst is seasoned journalist TV Akase. Is that SGF distances the secretary to the government of the federal Naira fraud. That's one of the stories that it's on national headlines across. So, TV Akase, people are talking about this.
Yes, and first of all, I want to commend the secretary to the government of the Federation, Senator George Akume, for his prompt response. When this story has been trending for some days now, and many people were waiting to hear what he would say. And yesterday, his office issued a statement distancing himself from this allegation. It is an allegation, and investigation is going on. No one can be described as guilty until proven otherwise in a court of law. So far, what we have heard is that the SGF has said he has no hand in whichever is going on. And he has asked that the investigation should go on. The EFCC should do their job. So I believe that Nigerians will be, in the end, Nigerians will be told the truth about this. So in the meantime, I don't think we have much to say. It's an allegation, and whatever is going to be the outcome, the law enforcement agents will let us know. But as it is, just to commend the SGF for coming out to speak, because when this started, a lot of people we're calling his name, we're calling him out.
That note, let's move to the next paper. The Barra's 19 scenes. Lawmakers ask governor, deputy to defend Okay, defend gross misconduct allegations. No letter received by government. And still in the Nation newspaper, drop in food. Gas prices reduces inflation to 23.18%. MBS report shows 130 basis points slash. Still from the Nation this morning, Dangote to build Olokola Seaport, Itori cement plant. El-Rufai stands diminished with his actions, says APC. And we also have House of Reps donates 705 million naira to support Tinubu's humanitarian programs. That's also in the Nation this morning. Then IGP launches Zulum's distribution of 110 petrol vans, 500 motorcycle, 280 houses to police and others. And that's Governor Zulum actually beefing up the security architecture in the state. And now let's look at, we've talked about Fubara, so let's look at Nigeria's inflation dropping to 23.18%.
We discussed this here some time ago, and on paper, I mean, we're doing really well. And so Nigerians are eager to see how that translates into the real time and real term drop. Because when you say inflation has dropped, Nigerians will be asking in which ways. Inflation, rise in prices of commodities, right? And when you say inflation has dropped, how? Well, we talked about it earlier on. Petroleum products are coming down marginally. That's a good one. We are praying that they should keep coming down until it gets to around 300 naira per liter, and then we'll begin to smile. So we encourage the federal government, we encourage Mr. President to keep hitting the nail. Let the nail keep going in until we get to that point where Nigerians will look back and say that yes, a lot of effort has been done. Of course, I do not have. I mean, I agree that efforts are being made. If you say efforts are not being made, that is also being pessimistic. So efforts are being made, of course, by the federal government to tackle the economic challenges. But I think the NBS, the Nigerian, the National Bureau of Statistics, should also be realistic. Because if you go to even our local markets here, I don't think prices are coming down like that. So, but I do not work there. I do not have the parameters. I do not have the yardsticks that they use to arrive at this conclusions of drop in inflation and so on. But I think we'll be better for it when the dynamics, when the indices are seeing practically that we are really having a cut in price of things, and Nigerians are beginning to. That video we talked about now, yes, of the copper who expressed her frustration, is just one out of many people who are also frustrated, but some are afraid to speak up, and so you can see that. It's not easy at all. It's not. On average, someone who is not having a public power source is spending 25,000 to fuel his small generator, if not more. So it's really not funny at all. And then you are talking about buying. If you go to buy, if you take 100,000 to the market now to buy food items, you may not come back with a lot. You won't come back with much. So we just pray and...
Oh, okay. Like in sports, to say, go federal government, go federal government, go federal government. So I want to point out something here. Yes. It said this decrease, yes, follows the rebasing That means it's paper calculations.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I said on paper. Yes.
So this thing last year was like this. So let's assume that. It's just that, it's just that you are trying to find X. Yes. Let's assume the unknown figure to be X. So X times this one times this one. There they arrive at this conclusion. So this is what we're talking about here. So, but then one thing, I think they said something here that the report highlights that the main contributors to inflation during the period were food and non-alcoholic beverages, and that is true. All right, we may have seen a little drop in food commodities like gari
and alcoholic.
But then these beverages, these things sold in the shop, they are not down at all.
No, they're not. Down. If you now a bottle of beer, even in the villages, is going for 1,000 plus now. So people, the level of consumption is dropping because if you take 5,000. To a beer joint now, you may not be able to drink 3 bottles if you are the type who takes up to 3 bottles in a sitting. So that's how high, because a bottle now I think it's about 1,500 naira for an average green bottle of beer. So how many can you take if you have friends around the table? So if people are no longer having the purchasing power, then certainly the sellers will not be able to sell much. And if they want to bring down the price a bit, maybe from 1,500 to 1,400, then the Nigerian Bureau of Statistics will say inflation has come down.
Well, that of beer, I think they are pushing us to be closer to God.
All right. On that note, let's also take a look at the House of Reps donating 705 million naira to support Tinubu's humanitarian programs. We have just said it's on paper. We get to see these things, and then it doesn't translate to the common man. How does this donation come to play now? One will wonder. And
there was a time they also said they donated 50% of their salaries.
Some of these things are even difficult to begin to comment about, because now, like this money, let's assume each person contributed maybe 1 million plus, because there are 300 and something House of Reps members. So if you have 704 million donated, that means each person contributed 1 million plus, right? That is a mega amount from what they take home. But that's a good start. That's a good start. So first, I will have to commend them for even thinking in that direction. It's a good starting point. So now it shouldn't be all about donating their earnings for charity or for humanitarian purposes. Our lawmakers should look at what they can do to help the Federal Executive Council to control inflation. I mean, to control, to make the economy better, rather. To make the economy better by looking at legislations that are for the people. We've talked about tariffs in telecom sector here, tariffs in electricity sector. These are issues that affect the ordinary citizens of this country. Now, our lawmakers should be angry that things are becoming tough for Nigerians. And it shouldn't be about donating their earnings, donating their salary. That's their salary. It's their right. It's not even a privilege. So we do not expect them to cut their salaries and give to Nigerians. We expect them to be angry at those policies that have made life difficult for Nigerians by looking at how do we bring down the hike in tariffs in the telecom sector, in the energy sector, in the other sectors that directly affect Nigerians. If you want to subscribe for distant television called DSTV now, and you want the full bouquet, then you have to pay a lot of money. You pay a lot of money to subscribe monthly. For those who have the big decoders, you pay a lot. Those are the things that our lawmakers should be thinking about, because elsewhere, subscription for DSTV, for instance, is done on pay-as-you-go basis. If you lock your room and travel for 2 months, your subscription is waiting. You come back and meet it. It happens in South Africa and other places. What are we doing? Nigerians should also be interested in getting the multi-choice and the other service providers here to give us pay-as-you-go service in DSTV services. That's what I think
We'll translate.
we should be looking at, including GSM services, the telecom sector, electricity sector, and all of this. So I commend them for donating their earnings, their salary, their allowances to the federal government, to the president for his humanitarian services. What they should do, take a step beyond that.
Thank you very much. One thing I'm yet to understand, maybe I'll understand later, is that even the issue of these telecom tariff hike, the House had said, suspend it immediately, gave directive for immediate suspension. But as it moved, it is still where it was. So even electricity tariff, they said, hold it. Well, maybe obeying orders from court and the assembly is one thing we'll discuss another day. We have been discussing, but one day we'll discuss to the point that I will understand. But let's move to the next paper, which is the Daily Independent. And it comes with this banner headline: Naira stability, lower petrol price, cool inflation to 23.18% in February. We have at UN Summit, Diri makes case for Niger Delta coastal communities. Protest over moving Benue local government election tribunal to Abuja. SGF denies involvement in 10 billion naira fraud allegations as EFCC probes aid. Alleged fraud, court adjourns Otuduke's case for settlement talks with EFCC and others. Tension as River Assembly moves to impeach Governor Fubara. We've talked about that. Former Lagos PDP Guba candidate Jandor returns to APC. And then above the nameplate we have El-Rufai blinded by ego, driven by untamed emotion, says APC. Beneficiaries of subsidies ganged up against Tinubu, says Bamidele. So these are the stories in the Daily Independent newspaper. We want to look at this El-Rufai's case again. We want to touch that quickly before we move to another thing. It says El-Rufai blinded by ego, driven by untamed emotion, says APC. Is he like a cry? Well, somebody says,
yeah,
I'm no longer playing with you. And
we discussed it. We discussed it here last week. El-Rufai is getting the exact attention that he wants.
Was calculating for
from the APC government, the APC as a party, and the federal government, the presidency. Because they are giving him the publicity that he really wants. You know, he's some guy who really craves for attention, and if you don't give it to him, he goes for it and he gets it. So by making controversial statements like he is making, number one, he's making the APC and its government to constantly remember where he is now and keep talking about him. There is something in political propaganda that if they do not talk about you at all, it is worse than they should talk about you in bad light. And what does that mean? It is better that they talk about you at all, that they do not talk about you. If they are talking about you, they are criticizing you, they are vilifying you, then politically it is good for you.
You have the attention.
Because you have the attention. Sometimes some people will say, but how, as some people say in Pidgin, what did this man do them now? Remember 2014, 2015 elections. The then federal government, led by Jonathan, there were some, I'm not saying former President Jonathan sponsored those videos, those documentaries, no. But those who were supporting him sponsored documentaries 1 hour on AIT and NTA that ran for weeks, running down the then presidential candidate of the APC, who later became the president, Muhammadu Buhari. And in those videos, Buhari was painted as the devil himself, as Lucifer himself. That this is somebody that if Nigerians are not going to trust, they are going to trust every other person. This one, you must not trust him. Because if he becomes president, he will be worse. And you know, those are the things that endeared Buhari to Nigerians. Nigerians became sympathetic to the man. So, what El-Rufai is doing now is he's constantly poking the APC and their government. He, once in a while, he will drop a statement that will make them very angry, and they will come after him and lambast him. Like yesterday, they said El-Rufai is traumatized because he lost the presidential nomination. So, but the man will be smiling that that's exactly what he wants from them. So the more they talk about him, the more visible he becomes. You know.
Okay, beneficiaries of subsidies ganged up against Tinubu, says Bamidele. So, according to Bamidele, these guys were eating from this, and so once the president removed it, they have now ganged up to, fight him to ensure that he doesn't succeed. So they will say, after all, you've removed it and you see how woefully you failed, so let's go back to it so that they will be enjoying it. But Mr. President seems to have been upset with this thing from the very onset, because I remember his campaign, he said we are going to remove subsidy, even if they protest, the country goes that they are going to remove subsidy, and yet yes, he did.
Yes, for me, subsidy removal has the good side and the bad side. Let me start with the good side. Good side, more money is now available to Nigeria, the federal government, states and local governments. And I have been talking about this. Perhaps people do not understand. Some understand, some do not understand. Money is being made available now to states and local governments 4 times higher than what the previous government was getting. Good side. Because, for instance, Benue was receiving between 3.5 billion, 4 billion, highest 4.5. The day the allocation got to 5 billion, it was like a bonanza, but it came once or twice or so. Now, on average, the state government is getting about 15 billion. 15 billion. Sometimes more than that. These records are there. So, that's good side. The good side of subsidy removal. A lot of money to states and local governments. That's why every state is paying salaries now. All of them are paying salaries. Some have cleared the backlog of salaries and pensions. Some have refused to clear. Now, the states have no reason to owe their workers. They have no reason to owe pensions at the state and local government levels. So if the monies were channeled to good uses, pay salaries, pay pensions, clear the backlog of arrears of salaries and pensions, and develop the state in different sectors, then you would have seen that was the dream of Mr. President of doing this. Sadly, the states and local governments have failed to. Some of them, a good number have done well, utilizing the money, the much money that they have now, in addressing the problems, paying salaries and all of that. But some have refused to do it. So that is the disadvantage, because now the paying of the fuel removal, the subsidy remover, is on Nigerians. Meanwhile, state governors and local government chairmen are having a lot of money on their hands, at their disposal. Meanwhile, Nigerians are paying higher in terms of petroleum products and so on. So that's why I said the fuel subsidy removal has the good side and the bad side.
All right, thank you very much. And this is where we've come to the end of today's edition of the program. But we'll not go on to appreciate, especially my co-anchor Shido Taka. Thank you very much
Thank
for
you,
your company.
It's good to be here.
And also we appreciate so much our analyst TV Aka. My name is Fanan Kwano. Do join us next week Tuesday for another edition of Newspaper Headlines Review. And by the way, you could still watch us on YouTube, Agate Television.